Alright, now we're going to look at scale across software packets. How do you judge scale? This is tricky, there's no doubt about it. So I use Blender at one college and I use Maya at another. So I'm going to just show you how to judge scale and how to figure that out. Blender by far is the worst, so if we cover the worst, Maya should be a piece of cake. Now, here in the engine, what I have is set up is a guy that is scaled to the exact same height as the player. Okay? In that case, the grid's set to 32 and he's 5 high. We covered this in Unit 1 and Unit 2. Now, in Blender, I haven't touched anything, so I'm going to go to N on the keyboard, and then we're going to go to Display and find out the grid. The grid is set for 16 lines, scale of 1, subdivisions of 10. Okay, to make life easier, I'm going to put subdivisions of 1 out there. So it's only subdivided 1 for every one scale. Okay, how about the lines? Well, the lines don't really matter. You know, that's the grid. Okay, hit 7 on the keyboard and 5 on the number pad to find out what this is. Alright, now with a scale of 1 and a subdivision of 1, what I want to do is lower this box down to 1, and that's what it is right now. You can see that it fits well within this major. Okay, so what I want to do is just plop that into position where it was, and this export it out. FBX is what the export is, and then we can export that out to the UDK. And you got to be very careful about the export, because what happens is I exported it once already. So once you export, it should have this little thing that pops up. Oh, okay, cool. All right, let's go in here to the UDK and then import that in. So we go to Content Browser and import it. Import Cube Blender. I'm going to put it in the underscore scale. This is a made up package that I can get rid of later. And hit OK. Then I'm just going to click and drag it out and find out how small it is. So right now, a 1 in Blender is that correlating to a 1 in the engine, or a 32 in the engine. Now, if I was to lower the grid space down, let's say I lower it down to the absolute one it is, 1, what is it then? Hey, a 1 equals 1. Look at it. It's subdivided 4 times, just like in Blender. Okay. So, by nature, shouldn't I be able to go like this? 32. Okay, so let's try it out. So here's 32. Let's scale this up. Which actually 32 should be one of these squares, but we'll look at that. Export. FBX. There it is. That's the error message, so just click on it. And let's go in here and just re-import that. Now to re-import something, you just right click on it, re-import static mesh, and hit OK. Alright, so let's lower the grid space down to, what, 32. So this box should be 64. And sure enough, it is. Bam. Perfect. So that means, back here in Blender, if I was to size this down to one of these little cubes, one grid space, this should be 32. And that tells me, as long as I keep this within the power of 2, I'm fine. I know exactly what scale is back and forth between it. Okay, so let's try it out just to match it perfectly. Export, don't move the mouse, and click. There we go. Okay, let's re-import that. And there we go. There's my one cube. So I'm just going to lower this to the grid, then make the grid bigger, and the grid should be 32, and there's a 32. Perfect. Tit for tat. That's exactly what I want to see. Ergo, if I wanted to design something like a doorway within Blender, I could simply scale this to 32, and I know exactly that, let's say, one grid space. I'm just going to grab this in edit mode, grab a face, click on it, jump into my side view, extrude it up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then I'm just going to move some of these vertices around to make it like this, and turn this on so it goes all the way through the mesh. So now that I have this, I have the ability to export this out very quickly. Re-import it. And match it up to the character. Now you see the pivot point is based upon the world space back in Blender. We'll get into that later, but for right now, our main concern is getting it as high as the player, not as centered as the player. Perfect. Nearabouts. Alright, now that we have Blender and have that figured out, I'm not going to teach you any Blender. It's just the idea that we have the scale. For the people that are taking this course live, they should already know Blender or know Maya. This is just the unanswered equation. Enjoy. Let's go on to Maya and try to see if we can get that one down.